Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome back. This is Hope at Dawn with George Gishiru and me, Beatrice Watare. Pretty much excited to be back here for this amazing, amazing hour. I mean, this is the kind of interviews you get to experience the information that we'll be gaining today at a conference. The one you have to pay for, literally.
Yeah,
because
you pay for it.
these are gems of life,
yeah.
you know, guarding your heart.
Yeah.
For me, for a long time, it was always a prayer for me, like, God, help me to guard my heart. As I go back into the dating scene, like, help me to guard my heart. And God had to train me on how to work through it, even through therapy and all those things. But today's conversation is all about guarding your heart in relationships.
Yeah.
This is a very wide topic. And even when we were conversing with the producer, Yuna, we felt that we need to talk about guarding your heart at work, guarding your heart while in marriage, guarding your heart when it comes to your family members. How do you guard your heart even with the issues of life, the finances, the job, the chaos of everyday life? So this is a broad topic, but today our focus will mainly be on relationships. You see, when you're in a dating season, waiting to get into marriage, hoping to get married, like in that season, how do you guard your heart? Because how you show up in that season is going to determine how you will show up on the other side even of marriage. So that's the conversation we are going to be having today. We have an amazing guest. Her name is Patience. I know she's patiently waiting to begin the interview.
Yep.
Yes. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Beatrice and Gigi.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you and quite an honor to just even be given such a beautiful topic on guarding our relationships. And basically takes me back to Proverbs 4:23, where the word of God says that we should guard our hearts because out of it flows that which we desire in our lives. So it's a beautiful place to start up with you guys, and I really am grateful to be here and honored.
Tell us more about Patience. How are you? You know, so you're a counseling psychologist?
I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a clinical psychologist. My undergrad, I have an undergrad of human resource management, but while I was at it, I'm a lover of people.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I feel like God just used me to minister to people. And I tell people basically not at the altar, but by giving hope, by encouraging people, by just making people be able to understand and appreciate themselves emotionally, and basically just have a wellness of mind. So above that, I'm a wife.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a wife to one Makali Mwema. We are blessed with 2 children, Milan, who's 8 years, and Miles, who is 5 years. And I love doing that. I also serve at Sita Member Kasi. At the counseling ministry. So it is something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm ongoing with my studies at a PhD in the same field at Daystar.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yes.
We have so many caps, feathers, on your cap. So many of them.
No, wait, you're not just going to skip over the fact that instead of saying many hats, you said caps.
No, I said caps. But you see, you can even have caps.
No, I thought you were redeeming yourself. Only for you to say feathers. You went from one to one.
Today's devotion.
Yes, but God can resurrect you.
It's for the glory.
God will resurrect you.
Yes.
How could I? And of course, when you have such co-hosts, you even need enemies.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Gigi.
You wear so many hats. And it's a good thing. Karibu sana, Patience.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, straight into our conversation. What does it mean to guard your heart, and especially when it comes to relationships?
Okay, what basically I'll say is we'll start by defining what a relationship is.
Good.
Before even as we guard, what is this relationship all about? So when you're talking about a relationship, this is a continuous commitment between 2 or more people. And as I looked at the topic and you said relationship resonance, I was looking at this relationship from the place of there's self-belonging. There is an understanding. So basically, when we are guarding our relationship, we are guarding how we understand, how we relate to the other person, how are we able also to belong to the other person as they mutually belong back to us?
Right.
And are they able also to just support us as in this relationship? Because you're saying it's a ship. So like we are two. It takes two to tangle in this ship that we are calling relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned the whole point of understanding what a relationship is.
Yes.
And since we are going to be touching on the season before you get married,
Yes.
because now we have this dating season, we have two people, they are trying to get to know one another. What do you think should be the temperature of their relationship as they get to know one another? I'm saying this because most of the time when we get into relationships, of course our goal is marriage. Of course that is where we want to go.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
how do we approach it in such a way that, yes, we know what the goal is, but at the same time, we are guarding our heart, because as we know our intentions, we don't know the intentions of the other person.
So Beatrice and Gigi, I'll probably just say this, yeah? There's a lot of intentionality that is required even as we come into the ship, the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful that as Gigi or as even Beatrice, you're able to be very intentional to first take it in very small bits, like in the pace.
Okay.
You don't just come in deep end.
Yeah.
So you really need to basically be this person who's very intentional and self-aware. Who am I as Patience? Who am I as Beatrice?
Yeah.
Who am I as Gigi?
Yeah.
I understand my self-concept. Because if I don't have the self-concept, I will go for that affirmation from the other person. So I go empty, so they will be able to direct the person they want me to be.
Yeah.
So it's important that even as we are in the dating arena, to be able to just have that understanding that as I get in, who am I? And that's where the story probably begin, even in the dating. And I feel that's the place probably a majority of us are really, really, really missing, because we have our own insecurities, how we've been raised, how we have grown up, our secure attachments and our insecure attachments. So we find we miss them and we want to look for them.
Yeah.
In the other, probably Gigi looking it for his insecurity in Beatrice, and the reverse is true.
Yeah.
So what we are looking at is, am I able to be self-aware and understand, I as Patience, I am this, and I bring this to this relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Originality, as you said,
Yeah.
so that you are not faking it. And,
Yes.
and that is the biggest challenge we have in many relationships, because
That's
you are
true.
trying, first of all, to cover up your insecurities. And as you are seeking affirmation from the other person, so as you said, it's the intentionality must be there from the onset, so that, because I believe the reason why you go and you find heartbreaks, heartaches in so many relationships is because you are either covering up something and you are looking for something, as you said, in the other person or in the relationship that you find yourself in. But then again, how do I become, should I say, vulnerable in that space, but then at the same time, I'm not losing myself in that relationship?
So Gigi, to answer your question, I'll say basically it's first defining the relationship that I'm in. A majority of us get into relationship, you say, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. But if they're to go out with the boys and they ask who's Beatrice, Beatrice is just a colleague. So have you defined the relationship? So when I define the relationship, this takes me to the next step. Have I established a boundary?
Right.
Like, what comes with this relationship? How far does this relationship go?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not able first to define the relationship, it's just going to be there. I don't know who I am. He doesn't know who I am to him. So yes, we can go out, we can come back home, we can, so it's not defined as much. Then now, if it's not defined, we are not able to say, this is where we can go up to with this relationship.
Yes.
This is how far I can express myself. This is how it makes me feel. So now that again makes me as an individual in that relationship be not able to be vulnerable, be also not to be self-aware of who I am. So I will not be able to bring out myself because I'm not understanding what this is. Yes. Yeah.
That's true. What you've said is very, very important, because I see memes sometimes, and they show this lady asking, "What are we?"
What are we?
The guy disappears.
Exactly.
The moment this lady asks, "What are we?"
What are
boom,
we? Yeah.
the guy just disappears.
That is one phrase
Nowhere
that
to be found.
a majority of men, they run away from.
They run away from.
Yeah.
But
What are
why?
we?
Why? Is it that men fear commitment, or is it that this lady sometimes bring the question too early? How soon is too soon to bring the question of what are we?
What are we?
To
Yes.
define the relationship.
So I think, as we've said, we need to take the paces, as we have said.
Yeah.
I can't meet you today, Beatrice. Then 2 months, I'm like, we're engaged. Because it's important for you, it is important for Gigi, who is in that relationship probably, to just be able to understand who are we. Because if you are not able to understand who are we, I feel like it's the first initial thing that you start with.
Yeah.
Because even as you are engaged at Hope FM, what was the first thing? They had to tell you who you are.
Who you are.
To this
expect
and what
Yes.
they expect. So from the initial stage, it will be very important that as we begin our relationship, Gigi and Beatrice, to be able, as people who are dating, especially the young ones, it is a very blunt question, but it is an important question.
Yeah.
So that you don't find yourself 3 years down the line thinking you are the girl and the other girl is the one who's taken down the aisle.
Oof, and that happens. Oof,
But
it
you are
happens.
just a friend. He will come and
They
say,
will
but
come
you,
and-
yeah.
I thought we were just vibing,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
defining. It's
So
important.
to belabor that point, if you can, in terms of because this I feel leads now to heartaches
Yes.
in relationships.
Yes.
So
That's
then
true.
again, how do we avoid or prevent these heartaches? Some which I believe are avoidable.
Yes, they are available.
yeah.
And yes, the emotional heartaches are brought about basically in regards to, it's just a repeat of what I'm saying, that if I'm not able to define my relationship, someone will come and ask me, but tulikuwa tuna vibe, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So where does that put Beatrice when that man comes and say,
Yeah.
I'm inviting you for my wedding, and they're giving you a card? So one, the heartache of betrayal comes in.
Yeah.
Two, you feel confused. You have rage, feelings of sadness, feelings of, you're confused, honestly,
Yeah.
because I thought there was a thing, but it is not there. So basically it is majorly I as a person, I as an individual, to be able to understand if I don't emotionally guard myself from the heart. And this is like, how do I guard myself, as Gigi has said? Am I able to understand what this relationship is about? Am I able to understand the boundaries? Am I able to understand how far is far? Yeah, so I feel at the end of the day is just, are we able to define what this is? So if you're able to define what this is, I'm able to understand I'm a colleague. So no expectation.
Yes.
As I go for lunch with you, understanding that I do not expect anything emotionally, like love, probably to be taken out for Valentine's,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yeah.
So it is I feel like that's the foundation
Yes.
of all these other hearts that Gigi's talking
Yeah,
about.
defining from the onset.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of the flesh is weak, definitely.
Yes,
and
yes.
there's some things you have to put a stop to, or rather to just say, I cannot go to this extent because we are not married, because of this and that. So what is the importance of these two people? Let's say we have Mercy and then we have John on this other side. What's the importance of these two being rooted in the Word of God? Because I feel like even from my own life, there's so many mistakes I made because I wasn't walking with God. Even when the relationship was defined, even when I knew this is a relationship that could potentially lead to marriage, we're even talking of our marriage and kids, but then it's not centered in God and it ended in tears. So what is the importance of making sure that God is at the center of your decision making and doing what pleases Him?
Okay, so Beatrice, if I was to answer you, one, I'll say God needs to be the center of everything that we do. And when he says in Proverbs that we should not lean on our own understanding.
Yeah.
So even as we get into this relationship, whose understanding are we leaning on? Are we leaning on just mere man understanding? Are we leaning on the book's understanding? Because beyond the books, beyond even the discussion, the therapies that we are having, I look back and I say, can we stick to the script, which is the scripture?
Yeah.
What does the scripture says? It says that we should hide that word in our hearts so that we will not sin against him.
Yes.
So I feel like even as we're in those relationships, yes, we can define by our own understanding. But the best will be, can we define this relationship according to the scripture? Because the word of God, he says it doesn't lie. What it says it will do, it will do.
Yeah.
So when we go back and put the word of God in the middle of this relationship of ours that we begin, we go back to him. He's the author of all this relationship. He's able to really walk with us and just direct our paths to the right direction. Yes.
And so that we help someone who is watching us this morning in terms of, as we define these relationships, what are some of the things they need to look out for to see or to indeed define that their relationship is working or is headed somewhere, so that it doesn't end, as you said, premium tears. So how could this happen? How could she do this? So how do we define a healthy relationship?
Okay, I'll say basically is to just first look at the red flags. I'll start with the negatives as we go in the right direction. So one is just look out for those red flags. Someone is not respecting you. There is no mutual communication. You're the one calling in the morning, you're the one calling at 10, you're the one calling over lunchtime, you're the one calling asking umetoka job. The communication need to be definitely mutual. 2, 3, you also need to be in a place of being able to understand who you are. So that when someone tries to body shame, when someone tries to tell you, I think you should be more lighter, you're able to understand, what's my self-concept? Who's the ideal Beatrice? Who's the ideal Gigi? So that as patients comes and says, I think you should leave your hair to be a bit afro. So who is the ideal person? So is this person able to love the authentic Beatrice? Is this person able to love the authentic Gigi? So if that person is not able to take you as you are and you work together, that's already a red flag. 2, are you able to know and say that this is it? I need to walk away. Because at times you find we sit there with the hope this person will change.
Or actually, I will change them.
I will change them.
People saying I can, ni vile tu hana
mtu wa kumuongoza.
So I will change them.
That's not your work. So
Assistant Jesus.
Yes, it's God who changes us. So I think those are the bits that now you sit back and find someone who's not able to really appreciate authentic patience. I think they're not ready, because I keep if you can just reflect and say, right now you're looking all good and everything, Beatrice. You give birth. Giving birth does things to us women. So you can imagine someone who already has started working on the person they want you to be. So you can imagine after birth, after all these changes that come with motherhood, what happens? So those are the hard questions people really need to start asking themselves and understand that effective communication, and I'm saying effective, it is not just communicating, because communicating can mean I talk to you today and I'll talk to you again in the evening tomorrow. So it needs to be intentionally done, and think.
And I think sometimes we look at the red flags, but then we assume they are magenta or they are pink, you know.
Gray areas.
We just downplay them, and then people think that when you get into marriage, somehow they'll be able to morph into this butterfly when now it is actually a caterpillar. So I think you've mentioned a very important point, that it is not our work to change someone. And I think there's a video I was watching, and it was saying that some of the questions you have to ask before you cross over to marriage, the first one is, ask your spouse, can you handle me never changing? Like, can you handle me not changing? With everything you see, with every mistake, with every weakness, with every insecurity that I am still battling with, can you handle me not changing? And then the other question is, can you handle me changing? Because now you've talked about the body, what happens later on. And those are the things maybe that we need to run away from. But then what are the green flags? What are the flags that we can lean on to and say, you know what, maybe I can invest a little bit more in this relationship? What are those guiding steps that show us that this is a relationship that one can begin to at least fully invest in?
The opposite is, because now when we say someone who's constantly communicating, and they're not communicating, asking, uko, unadu, mkona, someone who's caring, and you will tell caring people. You'll know that vibe on the phone when someone is really caring by just constantly, did you have lunch? Probably, yeah. And what I'll remind us, it's not more of a reward, because I feel like there are people who, their love language is gifting. But yes, you can be gifted, but then at the end of the day, you miss out on this other thing. So it's a balance of all these things. Is my person able to communicate? Is my person able to love me? Is my person able to touch, if that's your love language? Is my person able to reward me? But not as a way of probably also just blindsiding their narcissistic. Because again, there's that bit, people where now just come and love bomb you because they know what they did. Let's have a consistency, even in the relationship we are talking about, being just effective in communication, effective in how we relate, like our relationship, even back at home. Because sometimes it's not just about communication, how we even just appreciate each other, even how we correct each other. Because we are human, but how do we do it? So that's the important thing. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Right. It is the Relationship Resonance coming to you live from Hope TV. This is Hope at Dawn, and we are hosting Patience Wasai. And this morning it's all about guarding your heart. And we are talking about relationships, and especially that dating courtship season. That is what we are looking at this morning. And I believe you have so many questions. And I have seen someone on our YouTube space saying that Thursday is usually our day as singles. So all the singles out there, you can talk to us. Any question that you could be having, you can talk to us. Some are peeping at us inside the studios. So you can also send your questions, and our guests will be addressing them as we continue with our conversation this morning. 0708 222 323. That is on WhatsApp, Hope TV Kenya, across all our social media platforms. I love it that the phrase that I think men fear, especially, who are we?
What are we?
Yeah, what are we? That is the phrase that you should start with from the onset, so that when you hear that and you are like, I'm not cut for this, you can just flee at that very early stage without heartbreaking someone, or giving them false hopes. Yeah, so ask that. For me, that is hadi sasa nimeshika hiyo. Mapema ndio best.
Mapema ndio best. That's good. And if a man is running away from that question, even you run away.
Run away, by the way. Not run away, flee. For you flee.
Hey, flight. Just book the next plane.
That's it.
But beautiful. Let us take a very short break. But once we get back, we still have more on guarding your heart, and also we'll be answering your questions.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find the balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Welcome back to Hope at Dawn Relationship Resonance. This morning, it's all about guarding your heart. And we are having an amazing time. And Patience is doing an amazing work as well, giving us those nuggets, so that you are looking out for the same. Especially when it comes to dating and courtship. I think, Patience, also you can help us because we mentioned about the red flags and all. But then again, maybe we have committed and everything, but then at some point I realized, I think this is going in the wrong direction. What are some of the factors that I can consider?
Okay, I think the first thing I'll probably say is first, yes, as you have said, you have defined, you have set the boundary, you're self-aware, and now you're looking at this person and you're like, wow, I think I didn't make the right choice. So I think the first thing, because it's definitely going to be a loss, it will be important that you visit a therapist so that you may be able to go and just express yourself. And when I'm talking about therapists, currently in the nation, I know we have therapists and we have qualified therapists. So what I'm sending out there is kindly ensure you go to a professional. Someone who's licensed, someone who's able to walk the journey with you, because you really need a lot of professional care, because just as someone loses someone through death, when you lose someone you have probably walked in 6 months, in a year, you need someone to walk with you and do it very professionally. You don't just juggle it like balls. It's something very crucial, and it's a journey. It's a part of your life. So if it is not addressed in the initial bit, you end up replicating the same error in another relationship and another relationship, and where that puts you at the end of the day is where you sit back and just look at yourself and probably start asking, am I the problem? And yes, as you self-reflect, you might be the problem. But as you work with someone who's professional, you're able basically to be guided, to be able to be emotionally resilient, to be emotionally assertive, to know when to say no, to know when to even now and come back and just tell this other part of you that I think I have looked at things, and without being subjective, being very, very objective, I think this cannot be able to go on. But it needs to be from a place of professionalism. Because yes, we go sit over a cup of coffee and take tea. Us ladies, taking tea, what it means. We take tea on it, and as you go back, you're wounded more because probably someone else brought their tea on the table. And at the end of the day, that's now where we'll get the stereotypes like men are dogs. Or women are whatever. So at the end of the day, it's a place of being very professional and just being able to just being vulnerable to someone who can guide you, be able to be self-aware and be able to go to your next ship. A better person, someone who understands themselves and even can be able to walk the other person a better journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in line with that, because you have mentioned the same, the importance of having a therapist once you have gone through a breakup.
Yeah.
We have seen people who jump immediately from one relationship as a way of, should I say, healing, quote unquote. They jump
The
from one
rebounds,
relationship,
yeah.
yes, from one to another. What are some of the dangers of that, and the importance of giving yourself time to heal?
Yeah.
The rebounds can act as a solution, but it's a very short-term kind of solution, because it's just a coping mechanism. Someone will choose to rebound. Someone else will choose to go the other way.
Yeah.
You know, the other way. Yes. Then the other person might choose to drink. So that's why we come in and say, yes, you've gone through loss. Can we look it as loss?
Yeah.
And be able to address it as professionals and be able to help you be a better human being. It's not like you're not a better human being, but probably even identify what cost. It might be an issue of, as we are saying, you're not emotionally intelligent. Someone said something and you are not able to address it. Your problem-solving skills are not okay.
Yeah.
Your conflict resolution are not okay. So we are able just to come back and just sit with you and tell you that, yes, you might go to the other person, but how are you going there?
Yeah, yeah.
You're drinking. How is it helping? Because, yes, I'll drink today, I'll drink tomorrow, I'll drink the next day. We sit back together and we just look, how detrimental is this? Yes, you've drunk. In the morning when you wake up, you're still experiencing the loss.
Yeah.
So as I'm saying, at the end of the day, it's just a level of just being able to embrace therapy. I need something very new in our country, but I'm glad about the country, what it's doing. Like right now, we have a board that has come up for counseling.
Yeah.
So it's something that we are embracing
Yeah.
slowly by. So it's just important to reach out and just express your feeling. Because yes, as you do the rebound, you're hurting.
Yeah.
You're taking your heart to someone else. You're messing them up. Probably now you'll have messed probably a bigger chain. And at the end of the day, this causes something we call that trauma link. And that's trauma link, that's now what makes us not want to live. Because you're looking at this chain and you're like, I've hurt, I'll rather just.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you weigh, you look and you're like, I think this is a bigger burden. So will I just, it's just okay.
Yeah.
Let me just be here. That's why you hear people say, niko hapa tu sababu ya watoto.
Yeah. Yeah.
You stay off.
So you live a lie, yet we have people who can listen to you and make you able have better emotional intelligence, have better self-concept about yourself and the people around you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yesterday I was watching a video by Love McPherson. I love watching her videos. You know, she's a great relationship expert. And she was, the title of that sermon was Grow Up in Love. So she was referring to 1 Corinthians 13. You know, it goes ahead, 4-8 talks about what love truly is. But ukienda hapo 11, it says that when I was a child, I did childish things and all that, but now that I'm a grown up, I have to put away the childish ways. And so she was linking this to childhood trauma and how it can affect your ability to love, because you're operating from a wounded child mentality. This inner child is attacking your relationship and you don't even know, because you didn't take time to deal with the childhood traumas. So bringing it back to the question, I would love to know, what is the importance of dealing with your childhood traumas and going back to understand what are the things that are affecting how I show up in relationships right now? How does that affect the, your relationships? How does that, play out?
Beatrice, thank you for that. And it will be just important to say, as the person you're watching was saying, yes, it's true. When we were a child, we thought like a child. And now we are grown up, like we really need to move up. But what we are saying at the end of the day is, you find, even in therapy, people who had pasts of insecurities in their home. Insecurity in regards to probably you had a dad who was physical or you're emotionally abused. You come in with a view how men are. If your daddy was absent, you come in guarded that if this man is not there, I will be there. So already you come with an assumption.
Yeah.
You come with already guards around you. Yet you do not give probably the other person the ability probably to just prove themselves.
Yeah.
That they can be better providers. They can be better in all that they do, in their fatherhood, in everything. They can be very, very like different.
Yeah.
But because our past, it comes out very unconsciously.
Yeah.
So basically what you sit at a relationship and these things just come up, but they are triggers of how you grew up.
Yeah.
So you'll find probably you get into an argument, probably in marriage with your husband or your wife. But since it is something that was not, there was an unfinished business in your childhood, it's triggered. So yes, your husband has done something, small or big, but the way you will balloon it out, it's because a wound has been triggered. And that's what we are saying, even as we are raising our children. Since we have therapists around, it's important that even as parents, we live a life that our children are able to observe.
Yes.
There's a theorist called Bandura. He says basically children learn mainly out of modeling. So they when we talk to our children, they see more. They learn by seeing. So, and this is what they keep in their hearts. And even as you're talking about guarding our hearts, that's what our children keep. So when they grow up, they grow up with these wounds, they grow up with all these other things. And I can probably relate with how a majority of us millennials grew. We never had our parents argue. But they fought. But we didn't see it. So now when we got to marriage and we see it happening, we don't know how to handle it. So it puts us at a place that either now people divorce out of very small issues because you have not been trained. So that's why, again, couple therapy comes in, that it is important that we sit back and just self-reflect when we come to therapy. What's my contribution to this? What's your contribution to this? How can we make it better? It's not a place of self-blame, even as people are getting into dating. It is not a place of self-blame, but it's a place of quite understanding who you are and self-reflecting before you come out to blame. Yes.
Wow.
And patience, there are some people who are in relationships and they really see they are struggling in that relationship and they're actually being hurt, but they're still sticking around. What could be the driving factor?
Okay, the driving factor to such is, first, you're not aware who you are. So you're getting validation from this wrong relationship. Because this is what is keeping you, it's making you comfortable. Two, the societal and cultural pressures that we have. I got married at 30. Then at 35, I get divorced. You can imagine how people will look at it. The society will come blazing with guns. So I'll stay in because I don't know what my mother will say. I don't know what my grandma will say. Another thing will be your financial dependency. You might be a stay-at-home mom. From hair to your sanitary to everything, it's the other person providing. Or it's the other way. Because also right now we see women who are providing and we have men. And it's nothing wrong about it. But my question is, as even we are basically on the financial dependency, are you able to be financially as dependent? And are you able to just, you as a woman, you as a man, do that extra thing? So that in case things really, really go haywire, like right now we know our economy is really, trying to pick up. So you can imagine you see it and someone is like, jana nilikupatia 200, why are you asking for 500 today? So you will stay in there, not because you want, but because you don't probably have a choice. But what are we saying at the end? If I'm there and there's physical, there's emotional, and emotional is more, I tell people, it's more wounding. When someone comes and they blackside you in the house, they're not talking to you for 2 weeks, they're either doing things that are not, they're just hurting you inside. other than being hurt physically, it's important to know this is the time I walk away. Not to be there thinking you will change the people. So it is a place of just being able to see those things that I'm saying.
Yeah.
That, yes, I'm financially dependent, but does that allow someone to disrespect me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not, and the society does not allow it. If I'm divorced right now, if my husband says I go home, that I should be scared to go and tell our people this cannot work. It's important to be vulnerable, but again, as I'm saying, with guidance through therapy. Because when we do it out of emotions, it can be very detrimental.
That's true.
That's when we see people even just hurting each other, killing each other, just saying, if I can't have you, no one can have you.
Yeah.
So it's just important to be having an informed kind of decision,
Yes.
even as you're coming probably through transiting to other relationships. Yeah.
And I think most of the time what I've observed is that when you find that people in marriage, they're facing these difficult things, most of the time, even from the interviews that we've had, people usually say that these were the things they saw even before they got married. So we see all these signs, we see all these red flags, and then we assume that somehow it will go down in marriage. But what happens, marriage amplifies, because what happens in marriage is that it becomes a mirror, you know, of everything that is imperfect in you. The other person now is seeing it firsthand. But even as we sort of wrap up the conversation, I would love to know, so for someone who maybe knows very well they have made a very poor decision, like they are realizing that this is happening, and there's a lady who texted me telling me that she doesn't believe even there are men who actually wait, you know, before engaging in sexual activities before marriage. They don't believe that there's a man who can actually wait, because that is the pattern that they have seen going on in their lives, and maybe they have this situation and they're like, acha tu nikae because inakaa kuna watu wazuri huko nje. What can we tell such a person who has gotten to that point?
Okay, for me, I'll just probably say, I love that the fact she says it's something she thinks. So it's a thought.
Yeah.
It's a thought, yeah.
So one thing I'll probably urge the young people out there is, first, we need to get rid of our negative beliefs. And it doesn't come easily. Probably you're hurt once, twice, thrice. But it's very important to start unwinding through self-reflection and just looking at those negative thoughts. And just look at them and say, when I say that there are no men who can wait, is it proven? Or is just a thought? When I say all men are dogs, is it true? There are men out here who are taking good care of their families.
That's true.
There are families there are marriages that are working. And that's what I keep saying. I feel even the airwaves, we are really focusing more on things that are not working.
That's true.
Can we shout more about marriages that are working? Can we shout more about relationships that are working? Can we talk on the radio show about someone who says, my goodness, my husband and I have dated for 50 years. This is the... It's not like it will work this way, but we celebrate these people. So, and through this, we are able now to unwind these negative beliefs and now put our minds with more positive beliefs. And basically what I can also say is our mind is a muscle. So whatever we feed it, there's something called CBT. So in this CBT, our cognition is what influences our feelings and how we behave. So the thought that I feel there are no men who are not waiting will push me to feel probably a particular way about men. And I will behave a particular way towards them. So what we feed our minds, it's very important. So for those people who are out there, I'll say, can we feed ourselves more with positive things? The word of God. Let's go for conferences. Let's go for workshops that can help us understand that even in our waiting, what can we do? Can we serve the Lord more? I usually talk to the young girls probably and ladies in our church, and I tell them, it's important to understand when you're single, you serve the Lord better. When we get to marriage, you have to start asking, nezenda kesha? Nezenda kuna tunafaa kwenda prayer retreat? And when that man says no, you go nowhere. But the important part is right now in your waiting, what are you doing? So do you choose to decide to waste it away? Or do you want to invest it so that as you become a wife, as you become a husband, kuna ile cushioning that happened during your young time? Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Lots of feedback as well coming in. Stakam is very much tuned in to the show this morning. I see also Anita Munyiva. Good job, Wasai, as well. Thank you, Anita. I see Vibes Corner is asking a question. How do you handle a lady who you are okay for a good time? Then you had a disagreement and she pulls off, blocks you, then unblocks you, and you start talking, not more often like before, but you talk once. Then Lisa, as a man, should I continue reaching out on a daily, checking up on her, even if at the moment she doesn't want to talk about the both of you?
Oh my.
Okay.
Communication.
You said his name is?
Vibes.
Vibes Corner.
Yeah. So Vibes Corner,
Yeah.
if I was just to address him, we have just talked about defining. Can you go back, have coffee, and try to understand what is this?
Yeah.
So that when you understand what is this, you will be able to know how many times should you talk. How often should you reach out?
Yeah.
So it starts from the place of defining vibes.
Yeah.
Vibes, define.
Yeah.
Let's define. Who are you? Jerry to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you? Beatrice to me.
Yeah.
So then from there, let it trickle down.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
And that reminds me of something, a video called Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Is that I love watching that podcast.
Yeah.
This guy always says, that is Latera's R. Whitefield, always says, a man is to pursue and not persuade. And a woman is to present and not to pursue. So in this case, I feel like Vibes Corner is trying to persuade.
Yeah.
If at all you've done the pursuing,
Pursuing,
and this lady is not understanding, this lady does not want, probably she just doesn't feel like she wants
vibe.
to be,
She doesn't feel the vibe.
feel the vibes. She doesn't feel
Yeah,
your vibes,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And this person, like, even when I'm looking at his frustration here, he's like, I'm texting her, she snobs me, leave her alone.
She blocks me.
Like, even you just,
Yeah.
she blocks me, she unblocks me. What you do is just pull back.
Yeah.
Let her think to herself, what do I really want?
Yeah.
And if this person never comes back, you'll realize they
It
are
was
just
not
not
yours.
meant
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
And it can be difficult, and some
can
people
be.
would rather keep tagging
Yeah.
back and forth than separate themselves and begin to heal.
Yeah.
And the sooner you separate yourself and begin to heal, the easier and the better it's going to be. You are
Yeah.
worth more vibes. Like, you're worth more. You're a good man. You're an amazing man. And you deserve someone who will love you for who you truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one may not be necessarily courtship or dating, but I feel they are talking about marriage.
Yeah.
But I know Patience will be able to address the same. What happens to those children? They are forced to marry. Reason they are depressed men and the parents want children. A lady is brought to them and forced to marry her. How is that marriage? You got.
Yes, I got the triangle. Yeah, so probably just to rephrase Gigi,
Yeah.
it's an individual. They probably had stayed without probably
Yeah, yeah.
marriage. So
Yes.
the parents felt it
Biological
is.
clock is ticking. So
Yes,
the
so
parents
get
felt,
this person.
Yes.
We need grandchildren.
Yes.
So I think that's where you are. So one, I'll just probably would love to know, is it something probably he, like the way you talk at home, and sometimes out of being pushed so much, you're like, basi simnitafutie. Cause yes, I know out here is not easy. Nasikia watu akisema soko ni chafu.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
The dating
Yeah,
pool
yeah,
has been.
yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
but even as soko is chafu,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's important that the parents are able to understand that this gentleman or this woman has their independence in choosing the person they marry. Because even right now in that relationship, sure enough, if it is there, even as you do things, you'll be told, "Mama yangu alikuoa."
Yeah.
Because I didn't date you.
No.
You're brought in by my parents.
Yeah.
So you need money. See,
They knew what.
so you are their wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it can get to an
my,
instance
oh
now
my.
when this man probably, yes, will get the love of their life. And you can imagine what kind of triangulation is going to happen in that home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it will be very important that even as parents, yes, we are young, but we can say 1 or 2, 3 things.
Yeah.
It is important that we are able to respect our children and also just be able to understand, could they even be going through a tough time?
Yeah.
They're waiting.
Okay.
So by you adding someone that they didn't love, you're adding to their wounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So probably just have a conversation with our children and even know, do we pray? Do we fast?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah.
So how can we help? But bringing in someone for you, I don't think it is helping.
Yeah.
It's detrimental in the long run.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do they fight their battles?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Time is not on our side. It's already 9. And Patience, we need to allow you leave. But before then, how do you advise someone who is heartbroken and they also want to guard their hearts, and someone also who needs the same advice in terms of guarding their heart?
Okay, for someone who's heartbroken, I'll say, basically, as we earlier said, it is important to understand that it's a loss. So don't minimize. Ensure you're able to express how you feel. Because as we grew up, no one asked us how we feel.
No.
But it is a very, very important question in this regards, that when I'm able to ask you how you feel, I'm able to understand how I can help you.
Yeah.
But because we assume ameachwa na mbogi takuje mwambie let's go out, do 1, 2 or other things, and we come back and we feel this person has healed, it is important to know we need to give people time.
Yeah.
And just moving from one relationship to the another is not the answer.
Yeah.
So it's good, one, when you're heartbroken, ensure that you give yourself time. Time to mourn the relationship, because a lot was involved in it.
That's true.
Mourn it as you can.
Yeah.
Express how you feel it. This now can be done through therapists.
Yeah.
And ensure, again, you have probably accountable people around you, so that as you say, this makes me feel like this, they're able also to just probably address and say, like this, she's not safe to herself.
Yeah.
So you go and stay with her.
Yeah.
So can you come back home? And we just process this together. So it's just a place of just being very vulnerable. But again, who are you being vulnerable to?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Thank you, Patience, for that. And we have learnt a lot.
We have learned a lot.
Yule tapotea hata sema hakuambiwa. So I hope we have ears and we will implement everything that we have been reminded this morning. Thank you so much, Patience.
Thank you. God bless you, Patience. This is a ministry. I think it's powerful when we are able to protect before we have to heal. It's better to prevent it before it happens. And I think you mentioned something in passing that, you know, which alluded to, you are as successful in marriage as you'll be successful in your single season. So how you handle yourself while single is what will give the building blocks and the foundation of when you transition to the next thing. So thank you so much for coming through. We truly appreciate you for coming and being such an amazing guest. You have just taught us so much. I mean, I've gotten to learn so much today. And I believe that our viewer back at home and also Vibes Corner, that you've been able to pick up the advice. It may not be easy, but we have free counseling here at CITAM. You can walk in at CITAM Valley Road. We have free counseling services to anyone who feels that this conversation led them to want to be counseled. Free counseling services. Just walk to CITAM Valley Road. Just do a walk-in, go to the reception. You will even get a session when you arrive, or they will tell you when to start coming. So thank you so much for being with us even all the way to this moment.
All right, and just a reminder, tunataka uwe rafiki mso, just being a friend of hope. And of course, this is to enable us to be able to reach as many people across the nation as possible. That is right here at Hope Media. We have Hope FM, Hope TV, Hope Recording Studios. We have the Hope Digital and Creative Units. And we would want to reach as many people with keeping hope alive. And all you need to do is be a partner. With as little as 100 bob, you can be able to reach another soul with this message of encouragement, of inspiration, of hope in their lives, because we are living in a fallen world. We are living in a hopeless world. You know, soko ni chafu in all areas, you know, and so we need this gospel of Jesus Christ propagated in all corners of the world. So you can partner with us. As little as 100 bob will go a long way in reaching someone else. And so all you need to do, pay bill number is 933-933. That is the pay bill number, 933-933, and the account name is Hope. That is FOH Dawn, FOH Dawn, and of course we appreciate you as you continue to partner with us. My name is George Gishoro.
And my name is Beatrice Wakare. We'll see you next week, but you will be with Gigi tomorrow on Behind the Melody. I am going to watch that one even from home.
Tomorrow it's big, so
excited.
make sure you are tuning in to Hope at Dawn tomorrow, Beyond the Melodies. From us, it's Kwaheri for now.
Kwaheri,
Blessed day.
bye-bye.